the church has seen so many people come through its doors since this assassination of Charlie Kirk. Have you seen a growing interest in the Chosen Adventures, best Christmas pageant ever, all of your faith-based projects since that happened?
Yeah, that's been really interesting. What I've heard from a lot of people is that in the last few weeks, since the assassination and all of the conversations that are happening, is that I've heard from multiple people who have been at the forefront of that conversation. Musicians who've, like some of the people who led worship at the memorial and whatnot, who said, we've seen firsthand that the chosen in some ways was tilling the soil for several years of people, for people to be a little bit more open to the Bible, a little bit more open to these conversations. And so that's the thing that's so beautiful about media and art, is that it can create this conversation, and that sometimes there's a cultural event that causes people to go, okay, right now, I'm open to spirituality. I might not be sure what it's going to look like, but I'm open, more open than ever before, looking for a church, being willing to open the Bible where they hadn't been before. And sometimes it takes a cultural moment, or it takes a TV show or a movie or a political situation to just be that on ramp. And that's what I think, though, we need to always remember, though, is that whether it's a TV show or a movie or a cultural moment, that's not ultimately the thing. The thing is ultimately the gospel. The thing is ultimately relationship with Christ. And that's what we always want to be pointing people towards. And so if sometimes it requires something to jolt you out of your stupor, then there's an opportunity for us to take advantage of that in a healthy way, towards saying, look, there is nothing that's going to save us, and there's nothing that's going to solve these problems besides the gospel. It's not politics, it's not culture, it's not pop culture debates, it's not a TV show, it's not a movie, but sometimes those things can point us in the right direction.
You've completely changed the landscape of Christian filmmaking. I was listening to a Wall Street Journal podcast, and they were saying how they're crediting The Chosen and you entirely for this
Wow.
wave of incredible faith-based filmmaking we're seeing. How do you deal with that responsibility, though? Because I mean, it's just remarkable to see what you've done.
Well, first of all, and I'm not saying this to deflect, but I genuinely don't see myself as the cause of that. I mean, when I had a career failure 8 years ago, and God, really reminded me and showed me that my job is just to bring 5 loaves and 2 fish. The multiplication is up to Him. So I think my surrender to that and my brokenness is what ultimately led me to be able to be used. And yes, the chosen has had a hand in opening a lot of doors, but God has obviously been the one to do that. I'm not good enough to impact society in this way. The chosen is way better than I'm capable of being, and which makes it clear that God has had a huge hand in this. I don't consider my responsibility. My responsibility is to focus on making the best movie that I can that honors God and the gospel, and to make the best TV show that I can that honors God and the gospel. And He does the multiplication. So I'm going to keep my head down, as my wife says, my hand to plow. I'm going to continue to just plow and try to till soil as best I can. And what God chooses to do with that is up to Him. And it's been great to watch other shows and other movies get opportunities, hopefully, perhaps because of The Chosen. But that's not my work.
Well, I love your posture of humility, but I mean, it truly is so cool to see just over the last couple of years, because we've talked so many times over the years,
Yeah.
what God has done with your platform and with your mind and with your creativity. It's just amazing.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. You've been, doing this for a long time, and I think probably from your perspective to see the growth just over the last 5, 6 years, it's probably been pretty interesting as well. Whether it's through The Chosen or some of these other projects, I think all of us as believers, whether I'm the one making the show or not, can step back objectively and just say, this is a great cultural opportunity. This is a great cultural moment to see what's happening in media, and to turn on Prime Video and see multiple projects in the top 10 that are about the Bible. It's like unprecedented. And so I can just say that just as a viewer, and I'm sure you can feel the same as a mom and as a wife and as a journalist, to go, this is just cool just purely objectively. This is just cool for me to have more content that my family can watch.
Yeah. What do you think the responsibility is of Christian filmmakers, though, as these projects get bigger, as it attracts more mainstream talent and more mainstream audiences, especially to keep the gospel the gospel, and to remember why we do it. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think in any field, and it's whether it's media or otherwise, and it doesn't always have to be faith-based content. Sometimes it's just whatever job we're in, whatever God has assigned us to do for a living or in our lives privately. Uh, our first and foremost responsibility is to love God and love other people, and anytime that we have an opportunity to make the gospel more known. So I hope that as things get bigger and as things get more popular, especially if something that we're doing ourselves that has gotten more attention, that we're remain broken and humbled and surrendered, which is how we should always be. Um, so I can't speak for other people. I just know that if I start to feel responsible for some of this, and I start to think, well, it's not only my job to feed 5,000. It's not only my job to bring 5 loaves and 2 fish, but I'm the one feeding the 5,000. That would be ridiculous. And I hope that, and I know that God will very quickly remind me that that's not my responsibility. And I want to make sure that I don't require him to teach me that lesson again, because if he's more than happy to teach me that lesson, and it's usually never fun when he's the one who has to teach it to you. So hopefully, when I talk to you in 10 years again about all these projects that have come out, that I'm in that same broken space that I am today.
You just filmed season 6 of The Chosen. You filmed the crucifixion. And of course, we all heard stories about what happened when the Passion did, then all the spiritual warfare everybody experienced. You're elevating the gospel through your projects. Have you experienced some of the spiritual opposition?
Well, from the moment that The Chosen launched 7 years ago, everything in my family has, whether it's medical crises that we're facing today, as I talk to you now. But a lot of that started 7, 8 years ago, the moment that the show started. More in the last several years than the previous 20 years combined. So I don't know that I can even articulate all that's taken place and that's been opposition. You'd think that as the show has grown in popularity, that things have gotten easier. It's been things have gotten more difficult. Um, uh, you'd think that with all the the impact that the show has had, sometimes I say to God, okay, I'm doing work for you. Can we just ease up a little bit? Can we let things be a little easier at times? And I'm just not sure that God is seeing fit to allow that. I think God is I think continually we're supposed to be challenged. I think we're supposed to be pressed in, because I think it keeps us dependent on him. My wife refers to it as the manna program. That every day when the Israelites came out for their daily manna, God said to them, "Don't store any up. I don't want you to be comfortable. I'm going to make it rot if you try to store it up." I think we're supposed to be desperate for him. I think God sometimes puts us in those positions. It's not that he just not only that he allows it. I think that he also sometimes puts us there. Whether it's he tells us to camp out at the edge of the Red Sea, or he makes us hungry for food while he's preaching for 5,000 people. I think this is where I'm supposed to be, and I don't think I'm supposed to be comfortable. So I don't love it all the time. I wish that it wasn't there all the time, but I think that God is allowing it for a reason, and so I think it produces better fruit. And I think maybe The Chosen I think some of the results of The Chosen are because of some of this challenge and opposition that we faced.
Yeah. Well, the Bible says, don't grow weary of doing good. I think about that all the time, even when I look at you and I look at your career.
And the book of James talks about, counting it all joy for trials of many kinds. And I think because the trying of your faith produces endurance. And I think that there's the Bible talks about coming under these trials. And when the Hebrew talks about that coming under these trials sometimes means staying there, remaining there, because it actually can be a good thing. So I don't always enjoy it, but and sometimes I feel unwilling, but I think God wants me there.
Well, no, so many people are praying for you, and rooting for you and in your corner.
Well, and thank you for that. And I also, of course, this is the privilege of a lifetime. I mean, the opportunity to do best Christmas pageant ever, the
Mhm.
opportunity to do The Chosen, the opportunity to see these movies and shows reach impact and reach millions of people all over the world in every country is a privilege that I'll never forget, and I'll never stop being grateful for. So it is an awesome privilege and responsibility. Just doesn't come easy. That's okay.
Yeah.